Again, a warm welcome on this Christmas morning to each and every one of you. It's always an honor and always a pleasure to come together as a faith community. And most assuredly on these high holy days, it's an opportunity for us to just take it up a notch, if you will, with all the anticipation and all the preparation that's involved. It's always a pleasure to be here. Today, on this Christmas day, we think back a little bit over the Advent season. As we extend that into this Christmas season, it is indeed a season of hope for all people. For all people. We gather to celebrate Christmas with our families, as well as with our beloved St. Joan of Arc community. For some who join us over these days, it may be more recent to have found your way to St. Joan of Arc, to this sacred space where all are welcomed. We find lots of new people joining us during Christmas. For many of us, we mark many decades of having found our spiritual home here at St. Joan of Arc. The one common denominator that we all share is the fact that we caught sight of the light in the window. And we realized that we were welcomed wherever we were on our journey. So whether you're brand new to us or been coming a really long time, what we do share is the fact that we all caught sight of that light. And we've all done what we can do and will continue to do to keep that light burning. In this season of Christmas, again, we need to look back a little bit at Advent. We spent a good amount of time talking about being pilgrims of hope. On the first Sunday of Advent, I offered this definition of what it is to be a pilgrim. A person who journeys to a sacred place for spiritual reasons. One could expand that understanding of pilgrim to apply to the entire landscape of one's life. If we're all perfectly honest, we're all searching throughout our entire life. We're all destined to be pilgrims for the entire time that we're earthbound. However young or however old, we're all searching. We all have questions. None of us ever really know what's around the next curve. But that still keeps our feet moving forward. It's a lifelong pursuit, a lifelong experience of searching. The image of journey is near and dear to the very mission of St. Joan of Arc. We welcome you wherever you are is clearly a message of hope and a message of unconditional love. And it is a message that is actually quite counterintuitive to where much of the world seems to be moving. Where we would insist on welcome, others would insist on exclusion. Where we would insist on unconditional love, others would make sure that it is conditional. An advent of hope and anticipation may not always find us at peace for many reasons. After all, 4 of the candles are lit or have been lit on our Advent wreath. We still find ourselves longing. We still find ourselves hoping, waiting, and anticipating. And I do believe that we are never let down at the last minute. Amidst uncertainty, it is my opinion that Christmas invites us to a full-throated yes, even in times of uncertainty. Christmas simply has its way of calling forth within each one of us a reminder of the importance of saying yes, to continue the search. Every year, Christmas has its own unique way of arriving. Even if we are perhaps a bit exhausted, or even if we are a bit brokenhearted for any number of reasons, the light of Christ always has a way of coming to us. As Julie asked us, where is the light? The light is us. That is indeed where the light of Christ is most profound. Advent and Christmas are here to remind us that God has already broken through into the world. This didn't just happen. God entering our world is not late breaking news. It happened a very long time ago and continues on as long as we say yes. Despite the world's pain and unwillingness to provide justice and compassion for all, the light and the hope of the newborn Christ is well on the way into this world as long as we continue to say yes. From Sister Joan Chittister, God's dream for the world is us. We are the light to one another in the darkness. We wait, fully awake, fully aware, without complacency and without compliance. We become stronger and more fully human. And no matter who wants to suppress us or to silence us, we can be signs of hope that never, never, ever goes away. Again, we need to put a yes to that. It's important to be that yes. Our Advent journey is complete. As pilgrims of hope, we are brought to that place of trusting God's dream for our world, that we can be the light and the hope for one another in a world that continues to choose darkness and fear. As we heard today in Luke's gospel, the angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone all around them. And still, they were terrified. They were there at the birth. They saw it. And still they were terrified. And again, humanity is encouraged to not be afraid, to trust, to be fully aware, to not drift to the false safety of complacency nor compliance, to repeatedly choose to be pilgrims of hope without fail. Unto us a child is born is truly just the beginning of the story, as we choose to bring forth the birth of Christ in our world, in our nation, and in our church. Now begins the work of birthing this Christ in a, at times, most unwelcoming world, a most unwelcoming nation, and at times a most unwelcoming church. This ongoing birth was never intended to be smooth or easy. I think Mary Bussman's mother is here today. Gave birth to 14 children. She could speak a fair amount about the ongoing birth was never intended to be smooth or easy. As pilgrims of hope, it is important to acknowledge that we are way beyond. Joan of Arc, we are way beyond being willing to settle for a polite, safe, or convenient experience of Christianity. We are way beyond thinking that this is going to be easy. St. Joan of Arc, to know that you truly are a child of God and that you are loved without condition. I mentioned earlier about being gentle with that child within our own heart. I don't know how many of us take time on a regular basis to think about ourselves as a child of God. It's really important because it's exactly who we are. It is exactly who we are. And Christmas reminds us of that in a most profound way. So as a child of God, each and every one of us, might we go into this new year with a little better awareness of who we actually are. You are and have always been worthy, and you must never be confused about that. You must never be confused anytime somebody implies that you are not worthy. Is not true. So it's important to embrace that sense of exactly who you are, and you have always been worthy. If you only carry one thing throughout your entire life, let it be hope. Let it be the important gift of hope. Never stray far from hope. Because in some ways, it is a choice to step aside from hope. Don't do that. Don't do that. Never let hope get that far away from you, because sometimes it's harder than hell to find. Stay close to hope. Let it be hope that better things are always ahead. Let it be hope. Let it be hope that you can get through even the toughest of times. Let it be a hope that you are stronger than any challenge that will ever come your way. Never forget that. Let it be a hope that you are exactly where you are meant to be right now. And that you are on the path to where you are meant to be. Because during these times, hope will be the very thing that carries us through. It is exactly what's going to carry us through our entire life. Merry Christmas, Joan of Arc.